Hi there, my name is Timo Parker, I'm a vocal coach and I'm here to help you to improve your singing voice. This is one of the most requested videos I got, so I thought it is time to tackle it. We are talking about chest voice, 2 steps on how to find your chest voice sound. But before we get started, I want to make sure that you understand what I mean when I talk about chest voice. I made a separate video about head voice and chest voice and talk about the differences. So if you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend you to check it out. I link it here. But to give you a quick summary, in head voice the vocal cords themselves are passive and they get stretched by an external muscle that is called cricothyroid muscle. And when we sing in chest voice, our vocal cords contract. To be precise, the inner part of the vocal cord, which is called Thyroarytenoid pars externa, and this muscle contracts, and that's why we create a chest voice sound. So that means that even in a low register, I consider the voice to be head voice as long as this chest voice muscle, this thyroarytenoid pars externa muscle, is not active. So whenever the vocal cords are passive and they just get stretched by the CT muscle, it is head voice for me, from the lowest to the highest range. I've also created a playlist about essential voice anatomy. So if you want to dive a little deeper into this topic, you can head over and check out the playlist and take a look on what's happening in your throat. So before we get started and train muscles that we need in order to create chest voice sounds, there's a thing that I have to address that is very important. So when we are singing and we are singing based on muscles, our CT muscle shifts our thyroid cartilage forwards and downwards in order to stretch our vocal cords. This increases tension and also pitch. And we have to make sure that this muscle is always stronger than the contraction of the vocal cord itself. So when we sing chest voice and our vocal cord contracts, but the CT muscle is not strong enough to stretch it anymore, we can't increase pitch in chest voice. And that's why it is so important to really make sure that your CT muscle is strong enough before you start creating especially high chest voice sounds. So if you're just training your chest voice, there is a very high chance that you will lose range over time because the CT muscle is not going to be the dominant muscle in the system anymore. Because those two muscles, the thyroarytenoid pars externa muscle and the CT muscle, cricothyroid muscle, they are antagonistic. And that means whenever the chest voice muscle wins, we run into problems. So make sure that your CT muscle is nice and strong, and then you can always pull the vocal cords to the right length. So that being said, make sure there's a balance in your system with a slight dominance in the CT muscle before you get started. Step 1, we have to close our rima glottidis, so the space between our vocal cords. And the way we are doing this is by contracting a specific muscle that brings our arytenoid cartilages together. So our vocal cords are attached to the front of the thyroid cartilage, and in the back, let's say my thumbs are the arytenoid cartilages, they close the vocal cords. So the position in the front is fixed and in the back the vocal cords can move. And when the arytenoid cartilages come together, the vocal cords create a nice closure and no air is coming through. So when we sing in chest voice, we want to make sure that we don't lose any air when we sing, and especially that we don't use air pressure and force any air out of our system. So our arytenoid cartilages are connected with each other, and there are 2 muscles that contract, the oblique and the transversus, that bring the arytenoid cartilages together. So when these muscles contract, the arytenoid cartilages come together. And this is our starting point. We have to train this muscle to get the nice vocal cord closure. And this is the sound we create to train this muscle. I'm actually going to put the microphone a little closer so you hopefully can hear it well on the recording. So when we are creating the sound, the arytenoid cartilages come together and the vocal cord close for just a brief moment, and that's why we create this clicky sound. Make sure you're not pushing air through and it's a sound like this. When this happens, you release air, and we want to make sure that we just use our muscles to create this sound. So in the beginning, start slow, and when it gets easier, you can speed it up and create more clicky or ploppy sounds after each other. Also make sure that you can create the sound with a low thyroid cartilage so that you can combine the yawning sensation with this clicky sound. You can also hear it in the sound, and this is the difference. Bright one. Low one. Coming now to step 2. So now we close our vocal cords in step 1, and now we want to contract this thyroarytenoid pars externa muscle to create this chest voice sound. And let me tell you that babies are masters in this sound, and this is what we want to do. We want to simulate a baby's cry. make sure that when you create the sound that you don't use any air pressure and your belly stays relaxed the whole time. So in the beginning we want to keep the range very small. So we start with something like this. Ah, ah, ah. Don't forget to breathe in between and always try to relax again, because this sound can be a bit triggering and puts our body maybe in a bit of an alert mode, and we have to focus on staying relaxed and create the sound without pushing air out. Ah, 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 eh, eh, ah, 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 ah. You can associate the sound also with any other thing that might come to your mind. Some people also said it sounds like a creaky door hinge, so whatever comes to mind, use it. And when we create the sound, we don't have to worry too much about our thyroid cartilage being in a very low and wide position. If you haven't seen my previous videos, you could check it out to know what I'm talking about, but for now we just want to make sure that our thyroid cartilage stays in a mid position in our throat and doesn't creep all the way up, but we also don't need to have it all the way down here. And once you find the sound, it might take a while, you can start to expand the range a little and really slip into character, and don't take yourself too seriously, because this sound really lives from getting into character to really find the sound first. You don't want to think too much about singing, but just creating the sound. So this is what happens when we increase the range a little. Ah, ah, ah. So just keep in mind that this is a new sound and probably also a new movement inside of your throat if you've never done this before. So keep the training intervals in the beginning short, and once it gets a bit more comfortable and a bit easier, you can start extending these intervals. But already doing this exercise for 1-2 minutes can be more than enough. So now we brought these two movements together, and this is literally everything you need to know to create the chest voice sound. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I have more voice content planned on this channel, so make sure to not miss out on it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.